Hey, and welcome to the Driving Show, episode 28. I'm on my way to the gym to exercise. Do I want to do it? No, but I am. Most of this week, I guess I don't want to exercise. The thing is because I know I've got a lot to do. And as I've said before, when you have a lot to do, especially in your own business, it's very tempted to just want to stay indoors and just work. But guess what? There's always going to be work that needs to be done. And that's something, whether you have your own small business or not, it's really important to establish a good work-life balance, because there's always going to be work to do. And if you just spend your whole life working, then you don't actually get the chance to live and really to take care of yourself so that you can live. So that's why I think it is encouraging and hopefully motivating to see and hear that I don't want to go, but I still am going. I'm not listening to the feelings that want to keep me at home so I can work, but really I probably want to be eating, watch part of a show, and then I'd be halfway through the afternoon and be like, I'm tired now, let's take a nap. So no. But I did a push day yesterday, so I'm going to do a pull day today, and then legs tomorrow, which I don't feel like doing at all. But we're going to do that. Yeah, of course we are. And yesterday I actually did get some good work done on the masterclass activity guide. I had mentioned, I think in yesterday's episode, if not on my personal social media, that I'm just not feeling it. And part of that is, and I've mentioned this before, but I'll just reiterate it because it really is so much harder when you're doing something for the first time. You know what you're doing, but you also don't really know what you're doing because you've never done it before. You know the content, but you don't know how you necessarily want to display the content, and then you need to create a template for the whole thing. So it was a little bit helpful that I had somewhat of a template when I did that Unearth the Business You're Made For course. So I referred to that one and then fixed the activity guide that I had briefly started a couple weeks ago. So I got that patched up, and then I actually went through and created each activity, like the heading, the template for it. So that's what I found to be really helpful, rather than just getting started, is to map it all out. So I've got all the pages, and then if the one activity takes more than a page, then I duplicate that page and keep going from there. So that was exciting just to get that up and going. And then I started with the first activity, which is under the foundations section. So we have in the masterclass foundation, creation, and then action. And so the foundation includes mindset as the first one. And I'm a little bit distracted because I'm not in the right lane, and the cars today are a bit crazy. Goodness. So I'm just going to talk about mindset because that's what I've been working on. But mindset is that first one. And now the car that wouldn't let me over is now cutting me off. Great. Wonderful. I'll just stay here though. Anyways, the activity name for activity 1 is called Cultivating Your Mindset. And that name was actually the idea that came from Kevin, who's part of Piloteer Studios. They're the ones that filmed the masterclass for me. And they wanted names for everything because I guess that it just sounds nicer, and he has a little graphic. So when I say pause the video and do activity 1, it goes activity 1, and then it says Cultivating Your Mindset. So it was very good input and a good decision to have me come up with names. But in my own creative side of things, I'm like, it doesn't really matter the name. Even when I've done script writing, I did a full-length musical that I created and got performed in college, and the main characters had names because they would call each other by the names, but some of the supporting characters, I'm like, they don't need names. We don't care about their names. They're friend 1, friend 2, and friend 3. And I actually think that's perfectly suitable, in my opinion. But the actresses that played those were like, well, we'll just come up with our own names. I'm like, that's fine. You can make up your own reality, whatever you want, but to me, you're friend 1, you're friend 2, you're friend 3. And when I watch shows, part of that is just how I view things. Is I don't really care the names. If it's a movie, I'm not going to see that again. A show, unless it's like 8 or 9 seasons, I'll watch you and I'll forget you. And I care more about the story, the dialogue, like what's happening. So the names don't really matter. So bringing it back to the activity, I didn't really know the names because I hadn't really worked out what I was going to do. And at the end of the day, I'm like, it's just activity 1. Like, go to the activity guide and complete it. But the Cultivating Your Mindset, these first few for the foundational elements, they are a little bit trickier because, like, creation is create your person that you want to serve. I already have all that content on my old website, so I've been through that. I did that in my ebook that I came out with too. So I've done that, and I already have content for that. So that's a lot of the creation. Create the community. Create this. Like, yes, it's all like, these are the steps to do. Take it, and then action. Fulfilling the, setting up the site, taking, the action that you need to take for everything you've been working on building, researching, creating. So starting with the foundations, I was like, man, I feel like this is the trickier route to do as well. And that's probably why I have kind of been putting it off amidst other things that I talked about yesterday. But it's just that there's so much to start with foundations of being and creating a strong foundation for the journey you're about to take. And a lot of it is more like question-based self-reflection to see, like, how are you right now and where do you need to be? How do you get to be where you need to be? And so that was kind of a challenge that I had to tackle. And that's why when I was starting it yesterday, I'm like, I'm not feeling this. I don't feel creative. I don't feel like writing. But what do? You show up and you just kick yourself to get some work done. And as I started creating within that, it actually became really fun. And then I had a breakthrough and I was like, oh my goodness, I think this is actually going to be so incredibly helpful. Of course, if anyone actually buys it, if I can get anyone to take it, and not just buy it, but go through it. Because that's a problem when you look into the success rates of online courses, really any sort of course that you're selling as a small business, as well as even ebooks or just books in general. Like, people will buy them and they'll support you, they'll be excited, they'll have good intentions, but they don't actually fulfill, like, going through it. And I'm like, that's the whole reason. Like, if you're not going to go through it, I mean, it'll still be nice to have your money, don't get me wrong, but I also, first and foremost, want you to get the benefit from it. And then as a business, I need your testimonial and review so that I can get other people to know that it is a good product or service and to build a business. So partly though, what I went through with the Cultivating Your Mindset is asking questions. And I started kind of on the I guess negative side, I would call it, where they're like tough and more of like sensitive topics of, what are lies that you think about yourself or having your own business? How do you handle stressful times, financially hard times? How do you, just looking at, and if you're a business owner, think of all the hard times that you have gone through up till now. And even just being a human in life, you've gone through a lot of hard things, I'm sure. So asking them that, and then here's where the breakthrough came through, because then I had instructions like, okay, now go through and say where you would like to be instead. And then I was like, well, if they do that, here's what I currently am and then where I would like to be. Where's the action? Like, the call to action, what are they supposed to do with that? Like, oh, I suck at this now and I want to be there. Thanks for helping. No, you didn't help. You just told me, told me where I'm bad and made me wish that I could get better, but I don't know how. So I came up with this thing and I shared a reel yesterday kind of explaining it, but it is what, why, how squared. So it's actually kind of copying the guy Dakota Robertson. I was in his email a series or course he had, and I've talked about on the show is he used the what, why, how when you're creating content. So what are you trying to say? Why is it important for those that are coming across your content, and how can they take action? What do you want them to do with what you're posting about or creating? So I'm looking at it this way though, is what is your status? So if I'm saying, what are some doubts you have about starting a business or doing this, living the life you want to live? So what is your status or standing in that question? And then why is it this way? If I have doubts about being a business owner because I don't think I'm gonna be successful and I just fail at everything I do. Okay, That's currently. And then why? Why do you feel that way? Oh, because I've grown up in this way where I've tried stuff in the past and I give up and I fail, and I'm so scared of failing now. So maybe that's some context into why you're thinking that way. And then how, so we get to the how squared, how would you like to be instead? So instead of being afraid and having doubts that I'm just going to fail, I want to be confident that I know what I'm doing can succeed, that I don't have to let the fear of failure hold me back. So that's where I would like to be. And then finally, how am I going to get there? And so that is up to the person to kind of figure out. But as I go through the questions, because this is the on-screen tutorial portion added within that, I'll give some helpful advice too. And I think it's kind of like one of those things that as you figure out where you currently are, why you're there, where you want to be, then you can kind of put together a plan. And that's what I've set up Philbrick to be, so that maybe you do have some of those doubts, but how you can work on that is joining and being engaged in the community that we have, to surround yourself with a support system, which is coming up in activity 3, talking about support and the support you're gonna need if you're gonna start this journey. So it's a lot of practical things, but it's a lot of questions to go through, but also some good and exciting ones, because when you are in those hard times, my intention is that you would come back to those to figure out, why are you excited to start this? What are you looking forward to? Where do you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years? Who inspires you in your life? So kind of flipping the switch from like the more of the negative, here are some things that you probably need to work on within your mindset. Then here's what gets you excited, pumps you up, kind of the fuel for getting you going. And then also just some advice. I have a couple of like, if you were to give advice to someone who's going through a hard time, what would you tell them? Because a lot of times we're good at telling other people advice and like really great inspirational things, but we don't know how to do it ourselves. So the thought behind that is, one, you can encourage other people if you have something written down that you've really thought through and worked through. But then also tell that to yourself. So I would tell you, don't give up on your dream when things get tough. Keep pushing through, persevere. You need to be determined, have perseverance, show up. So that's my advice to you. But am I going to take that advice? I should be. So when yesterday I was talking about like, man, it's hard. No one's buying stuff. The ads aren't working. I need to run more ads. I need to do this and I don't want to. I need to, read that advice that I would give you. Tell it to myself. Michael, don't give up. Keep showing up. Persevere. Keep that determination. So I think, man, it's so exciting, and I think it will be so impactful. So I'm really excited. I think it will be perfect for whoever's taking the class who actually wants to get started on this journey to fulfill and have that successful and lasting, sustainable business. And really for any human being, I'm like, these are things that if you can work through them, you will be so much better set up to hit life head on, to grab that future you want to live the life that you're supposed to be living. So we're going to end it here. I'm going to go into the gym and try to work out. But hopefully this was fun. Just remember the what's, why, how squared. Well,